You may have noticed that in recent weeks I haven't made any updates to my two movements that I created this past year, Single Lives Matter and Different Lives Matter. And I wanted to say that my stance has kind of changed a bit ever since I've been exposed to more and more of these situations, right? COVID-19, or at least the precautions for COVID-19 are winding down. I'm running into more of these issues, and I've started to appreciate a few other concepts that I did not think of when I started the two movements. I don't agree with Different Lives Matter anymore. It's more of a different education, different backgrounds matter. Let me explain. So I talked about how in the past I've been excluded from certain social circles because of my difference in eating habits, my difference in religion, my difference in hobbies and such, right? Now the problem is not whether or not these people matter, it's whether or not these different activities matter and whether or not I should go about educating others about it, right? So I'm doing some gigs here in the Phoenix area, private tutoring, and one of my clients, his dad is very upset that he can never prepare food for me. He'll ask me to try something, I'll say no. He'll ask me to try something else the next time, I'll say no. And one day, he said that he used to work as a chef and he could prepare food for anybody. And that really insulted me because the problem is not whether or not somebody's willing to prepare food for me. I know there are people who are very nice in that. The problem is, in order for him to do it would force me to disclose some health concerns that I'd rather not disclose to a tutoring client of mine, right? That's the problem. Now, the stuff like that used to upset me a lot. I would just tell him to mind his own business. But last week, I took it upon myself to educate him. I told him, I know you're a chef, I know you're very good at it, I know there are people who come to you with all sorts of problems, but I think there's one more skill that you could pick up, which is that there are some people to which food is not really a social activity anymore, it's more of their medicine. And some people are not comfortable talking about their medicine, right? You wouldn't want me to ask you what prescription drugs you take or have taken. Have you ever had cancer? Have you ever had COVID-19? You wouldn't want me to sit around and ask you that, right? And at first he was very defensive of that. Of course I wouldn't, but this is different, this is food. But I was able to talk him down from it, and eventually he actually understood. And he said, I never realized that. Maybe I need to be careful with other people in my life. And that was good. So it's not really different lives matter. It's different cultures matter. Different backgrounds matter. Different education matters. Educating yourself about current events, about differences in human needs, right? Differences in our bodies. The education of that matters. It's not so much that the people or the lives matter, right? Now, in terms of Single Lives Matter, this is the reason I got very upset about that during the pandemic, was that when we went into our first wave of reopenings, right, summer 2020, and we had gone back to the office for a month or two, a coworker of mine needed some extra time off because her extended family, they had a couple with COVID-19. The kids needed to be kept away from them. She needed to take care of their kids. Basically, her nieces and nephews, I'm not sure. So she needed some extra time off. And she asked around to see who could donate some paid time off. I ended up donating 4 days, I think. And which is what really hit me off guard was how, in my mind at least, I don't think she did it intentionally. In my mind, it felt like she just stuck her hand out, right? It was wrong of me to feel that way. But, I had other stresses during COVID-19. You think that not being able to go to my favorite board game club or not being able to go to my favorite restaurant, that's stressful too, right? As a single guy, I want to meet people. And it angered me that it didn't get treated at the same level. And so I said, and then on the 4th of July last year, there was a lunar eclipse I wanted to go out to see, and I had to race back to work the next day, and this didn't feel congruent, right? And that's when I got very upset. But you know what? A couple weeks ago, we were working over Zoom, and not this one coworker, but another coworker who also took time off previous to her. I finally got to see and hear her baby crying in the background. And it dawned on me, it's not so much that I don't want her to take maternity leave. It's not that I didn't want my other coworker to take time off to care for her nieces and nephews whose parents had COVID-19. It's not that. It's I want that, and I want to go see my lunar eclipse too. And so it dawned on me, maybe the whole pie needs to be bigger. Maybe we need to do something to make the whole pie at the university where I'm working at bigger. And that's when I started to create additional slides from my own experiences to teach, right? With my machine learning and stuff as applications to the math course that I'm teaching, right?